Our staff here in the Grease office for Congresswoman Kathy Hochul. My name is Joan Kessner. I am her district director, and you'll be seeing a lot of me out here working directly with our staff. And but before I bring up our very honored special person and guest of honor, I want to recognize a few people here in our audience today, and they are representing elected officials. Harry Bronson, Jennifer Screw Harvey, and Alan Richard. Where are you? Thank you for coming. A person that we've already had a number of meetings with and is sending us great information in our office, our county legislator Dick Beebe. Representing Senator Robach, our neighbor here, right? Our neighbor here is Stephanie Williams. Right, Stephanie? Thank you. Half a cup of sugar now. And Sandy Frankel's here, Elaine Leismauer is here today, and we also have two village trustees from Brockport, Margaret Blackman and Carol Hannon. Thank you. They just walked in. Many of you don't know that we've only been in business for approximately 2 months, and I can tell you it's the busiest 2 months of my life. And but I couldn't be prouder of our Congresswoman, who I happen to work for and I've known for over 20 years. She has worked very hard, tirelessly, back and forth to Washington, and so supportive of the things that we're doing here in the district, and a great voice for us in Washington. She joins us today. We're glad to have her. I know they want to take her back to Washington, but we're hoping to keep her for a few more minutes here. But our Congresswoman Kathy Hochul.
Joan, and I am thrilled to be here in the heart of Monroe County, an important part of my district, to open up our district office here. Hopefully a very visible signal that my staff and I will be extremely accessible to all parts of the district, and we have representatives from Livingston County, Monroe County, and others here today, because it's so important. And to me, this is the most significant part of what we do, is touching our constituents directly. And I want to make sure that we are accessible, so not only are we here, but we also have a very ambitious schedule of satellite offices. So we'll be going into more rural communities throughout the district. We're down to, you probably have a good list there, Joe. We're going to be down in Dansville and Brockport and other places. So we've got the main offices here in Greece and in Amherst. We'll have satellite offices. We'll have our staff go out there to meet people who've got problems, anything from passports to veterans problems to dealing with Social Security issues, anything that comes up, because a lot of people are confused. I come from local government, and Joan and I served on a town board for many years. I moved into county government, but the people out there don't know who really handles some of these issues. So to the extent that those of you who represent elected officials, please get on your website our schedule of hours as well, because that'll help you serve them better. When they know that there's a Social Security issue, Congressman Hochul's office, the one you go to, and not necessarily going over to Dick's office, who could help us, but not necessarily under his jurisdiction. So I think it's helpful to help teach our constituents the different layers of government who does what. But we're here to help. And even if it's something that you may not think is in our jurisdiction, I can tell you I can send a letter in support, I can help you out. And I want to take this office and make it very expansive. I've always done that in all the roles I've played in government. I think it's important to not be confined by the limits of your job, but also just look at how we can help the community together. And I hope to have a lot of meetings at this table with members of the community, our senior groups, our veterans groups, small business organizations, elected officials, because that's how we're going to make this community better. We're going to make it stronger by working in a bipartisan way and just get it done. And I have to tell you, having just come off a month in Washington, D.C., I didn't see a lot of that evidence, and I'm so hopeful to get back here and really start changing that tone, because it doesn't get us anywhere. The fighting that I saw in D.C., it was embarrassing, it was disgraceful, and hurt this country terribly. And I saw that coming when we started talking about the debt ceiling increase back when I arrived on June 1st. We knew we had that August 2nd deadline looming. It was our job to get the job done, to make sure this country paid its bills on time. And the fighting that went on and the political gamesmanship, I've never seen anything like it. There are people who've been in that job for 20, 30 years saying they've never seen anything like it either. A couple actually commented it wasn't like that till I got there, but I thought they were only kidding. I have a different attitude, and I respect everyone who is elected, regardless of party. once elections are over, campaigns are over, now it's time to govern. And that's what the American people expect, the people of this district. And I'm so truly, truly honored to represent in Washington. And it is a privilege. Every day when I'm down there and I walk into that Capitol, you know, my heart just races because I know what a supreme privilege it is to be able to represent the people of this district at all corners of all 7 counties in a very significant way in Washington. And I hope to be proud of what I do. I've been standing up already on the floor of Congress more often than any rookie ever does because I've got a lot to say. And I've got a strong message representing my district. And I feel very compelled that I'm in this term. It's a shortened term because we didn't start until June 1st. I've got a lot of time to make up for, but I'm very passionate about it. Don't ever doubt that there's no issue too small that I won't take on for you, or my staff won't take on for you, because that's what it's all about. Government service is a privilege, it's an honor, and the faith that's been put in me, I don't ever want to let anybody down. So that's where I come from. I hope that you will be regulars here. I'm so delighted you took so many of you came out to just say hello to us today. Again, it's all about being accessible and solving people's problems that are broad. So thank you. If any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them, but make sure you know our phone number here and information. Okay, and 585-270-4828. We can hand out the information, but the 2 people, the faces of my local office, I'd like to have them come up right now. Dennis O'Brien is my Deputy District Director. Dennis, make sure you say hello.
I think he's watching the cookies.
Jeremy Bennett as well. Jeremy,
Come on up here, Jeremy.
These are the 2 people who pulled this office together and make sure we had refreshments and tables and chairs and everything, all the advertising. So these are the faces of my office. You will see them at the satellite operations as well on this side of the district. In addition, we will continue our outreach with Congress on your corner. And I know I met a few of you yesterday when I was out in Brockport. We did Brockport. We did Brockport, we did Lockport yesterday, we're heading down to Dansville, so I'm going to be all over. Putting a lot of miles on the car already, but we'll have meetings here, but these 2 will be also the face of my office at all of your important meetings. So please, let us know what we should be at. Let us know what's important in the community, because we only do better with direct input from all of you. So thank you very much. Walk around and enjoy.
We have no proclamations, additions, or deletions to the agenda. Before we have the public forum, Madam Clerk would like to take item number 27 out of order.
Announcement of decision on the request submitted by Bryan and Scranton College for a special use permit to operate an institution of higher education and technical vocational school to be known as Bryan and Scranton College on property located at 846 Long Pond Road.
Councilman Bilski.
The record demonstrates that the proposed use is undesirable at this particular location. Now therefore be it resolved that the request submitted by Bryan and Scranton College for a special use permit to operate an institution of higher education and technical vocational school on property located at 846 Long Pond Road hereby be denied. So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Bilski, second by Councilman Norris. Under discussion. On the motion for denial, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Before we get, if anyone's here, the Greasetown Board meeting started at 6 o'clock. The decision on Bryan and Stratton was the approval of the denial. So Bryan and Stratton has been rejected. Sir, go ahead.
Why were we told 6:30 then?
Ma'am, we have a public forum. I don't have that answer for you.
Take the light on after me.
You know who I am, I'm Dave Garrison, I'm from Waterloo Drive, leader of the Democratic Party. How cowardly can you get? How cowardly can you get? A week ago, I'm sitting in your agenda review session. I think probably, with the exception of the supervisor's misconduct in office, I think the hottest issue you folks have addressed this year, or rather failed to address this year, is this Brian Stratton situation. It was not on your agenda. You sneak it on your agenda, something of high interest to hundreds of citizens, without notice, without announcement. It's been in front of you for months, and you sneak it in at the 11th hour without telling folks. How cowardly can you get? Are you that afraid to face the voters and tell them what you're going to do? Now, along those lines, I got a phone call today. And I got a number of calls like this. Somebody called me and he said to me, you're the boss of the Democrats, right? You know, I'm in the phone book. People save their newspaper clippings or whatever. I don't know. They look me up, they call me. And I get this question once or twice a week, sometimes more often. Why is John Allberger still in office? Someone called me this afternoon at 1 o'clock to ask me that question. Why is John Allberger still in office? Somebody else called me yesterday. Do you know what their question was? Why is John Allberger still in office? I don't know what to tell people. My answer to them is, I think you should direct that question to the town board, to Bill Breilich, to Maggie Brooks, because I don't know. All I can tell you is that apparently in our one-party town, the Republican Party wishes the supervisor to stay for whatever reason, and that's why he is still here. That's all I know. But it occurred to me after I hung up the phone, you folks must get this question too. You must be out seeing voters at events or at their doors, and people are probably, I bet you're all listening to the phone book, people are probably calling you the same way they're calling me. And they're probably asking you the same questions they ask me. Why is John Allberger still in office? And I'm curious, what is your answer? Are you telling them John Allberger is still in office because I served with him on town board and I'm proud to serve next to him because he's a man of exemplary character and he adheres to the highest standard of personal and professional conduct, and that's why he is still in his office as supervisor, because he's the highest possible caliber of a person we could have in that office, and that's why I'm proud to keep him in that office. Is that what you tell folks? Something like that? Probably not. Because I remember back in April, I remember you folks had a press conference and you said, well, the supervisor, maybe we like him, maybe we don't, but he hasn't done anything illegal, so that's good enough for us. Next topic. Hasn't done anything illegal, that's enough. Is that what you tell folks? Just the fact that the fact that we have broken laws is enough, and the fact that our top standards of conduct have been violated, that the supervisor withheld information from the chief of police and the police department, is that enough? Is that what you tell folks? I'd like to suggest, and I don't know what you do tell folks, I'd like to suggest the truth. And I don't know the truth, but I'll speculate. I bet what you would like to tell folks is, I would like to do the right thing. I would like to do the right thing. But there's some very powerful things in play, and I hold low cards, and the other people hold the trump cards and the better cards, and I just don't. If you think I'm elected to something, you think I've got a voice, but in truth, I do not have a say. I sit on this board, and I do not have a say. Other people have made this decision. They've made it for whatever reason, and I just got to go along. And you know why I've got to go along? Because my job's at stake. Because my full-time job, my livelihood relies on my loyalty to the one-party system in which I'm engaged. And I'd like to do the right thing, but I really, I've got a family, I've got a mortgage, and I'm not going to risk my job in order to stand up and do what's right. I think that's what you would like to say. And I think when you look in the mirror in the morning, I think that's what you were thinking to yourself, that you would like to do the right thing, but you just don't want to take the risk. Now, I'm here tonight to urge you to get past your hesitation. It is time to do the right thing. It is time for you to look in the mirror, to look at yourself, to put aside your fears about your livelihood, to put aside your ambitions. Gee, maybe you'd like to be a judge or a supervisor or a department head at the county. Maybe those ambitions will have to be shelved for a while in order to do the right thing. A lot of times, whistleblowers take a risk. These are people who risk their jobs, they risk their livelihoods to do the right thing. And it's tough, it's not an easy path, but it's the right path. Next time a voter comes up to you and asks you that question, I hope you will tell them the truth, and I hope you'll be able to hold your head high and give them an answer that they deserve to hear. And I also hope that in this body, you folks, at your next session, will take a vote of confidence, as I asked you almost 6 months ago now. Take a vote of confidence. Let's see where you stand, you four people. Do you support the supervisor or do you not? We want to know. Thank you.
Anyone else care to address the board? If, for those of you, there may have been a misunderstanding. I'm sorry. For those of you who came for the Bryant Stratton decision, the Greasetown board meeting, and as a courtesy, we thought we were to take it out of order early, but I'm assuming most of you were here and hoping for a denial, and it was the case for the application. The vote was... The vote was 5-0 in favor of the denial. So that's why, even though it was, you might have thought it was a yes vote, but it was a yes to deny. So, but we thought because the applicant was here and there was a couple of interested residents that we decided to take it out of order. But again, for Brian and Stratton, the application has been denied.
Go ahead. Can you tell us what the next step may be for the builder in this case? I don't know that we all know what the application process entails and what their motion to build there has been denied. So if I'm in their shoes, I'm going to reload and come back for another go at it. Okay, can you just explain to the
Normally, but we'll go ahead. So Mr. Tchaikovsky, could you explain what likely could happen after tonight's decision?
The developer of the property and Bryant Stratton College probably are going to have to give some thought as to what they do next. They may choose to, Bryant Stratton may choose to walk away from the site. The developer and Bryant Stratton may choose to make a significant modification to their proposal and make a new application. They also may choose to challenge the town board's decision in the state Supreme Court.
Thank you, Mr. Tchaikovsky. Anyone else care to address the town board? Sure.
Mr. Supervisor, I know you normally don't engage in a back and forth during the public forum. You just broke with that just now when I applauded.
Sir, if I may.
I think that's the right thing to do. And since you did that for these folks, I'd like you to do it for me. I posed a question to you folks, I'd like to hear an answer. Do you support the supervisor?
Sir, if you would please sit down, I will address.
Answer the question.
There obviously was a misunderstanding.
You'll
at
just
the time
engage
of
in
the
back and
meeting.
forth with folks when you agree with them and not when you see, not when it's
Obviously, there was
uncomfortable for
a
you.
number of people, there was a misunderstanding as to the time of the meeting, and normally we don't engage in a question and answer, but it was a legitimate question for that.
My question is a legitimate question.
That'll be a.
Do you folks support the supervisor?
Mr.
I'll wait for an answer.
No, we're not, wait, you're not getting an answer.
Do you speak
Anyone else
for
care to
Mr.
address the
Supervisor?
town board?
I didn't ask you, I asked these board members.
We will-
I'm asking Shannon O'Keefe, I'm asking Robert Bilski, I'm asking Andrew Conlon, I'm asking Kirk Morris, and I'm waiting for an answer.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Right, you're out of order, sir. Motion for recess.
Cowards!
We will now have the public forum portion of the meeting. It's an opportunity for Greece residents to address the Greece Town Board on issues and concerns relative to the town of Greece. We have a 3-minute time limit. Keep in mind that this is not a question and answer session, but an opportunity to address the board on issues and concerns relative to the town of Greece. If you care to set up a meeting with myself, members of the board, or members of administration, please contact Mrs. Perkins, who is sitting to my left on the dais. Anyone in the audience who seem to care to address the board?
Good evening. My name is Charlie Ennis. I'm a retired senior citizen living down on Rumson Road here in the town of Greece. I'm here tonight to express my personal opinion, representing no organization, no veterans organization, no scouting organization, no community organization. Strictly my opinion as an American citizen, a natural-born American citizen, a citizen of the town of Greece. I've lived in Greece since 1995. Going over some personal memorabilia the other day, came across my Eagle Scout badge, of all things. God and Country Award, things going back to my scouting days. Seems like many decades ago, back in an earlier part of our society's history. I wasn't living in the town of Greece at that time, but scouting being a national organization, I enjoyed my years of participation in Cub Scouts and later the Boy Scouts. Before I went any further in my education beyond high school or got involved in other organizations like the military, overseas duty, things of that nature. One thing the Scouts always taught me was character, trustworthiness, loyalty, concepts of scouting that are still true today. Morally straight, for example, is something which is encompassed in the Scout Code and the Scout Oath. Perhaps it's something that our leadership here in the town of Greece, and of course my remarks are addressed directly to our supervisor, our current supervisor, Mr. John T. Allberger, not to anybody else sitting in front of me here at the Diaz. These are a reminder of the lack of morality that Mr. Allberger has shown while he's been in office here in the town of Greece, certainly in recent years, by his conduct as an official of the town of Greece. But for his own, whether it's a sense of entitlement or arrogance or whatever he perceives it to be, he has refused to step down or resign, as many other people in his position have done. It is the right course of action to pursue, and I would encourage everybody else sitting on the dais up next to him or with him in private or public to pull him to one side in private or in a public forum if they wish, to encourage him to do the right thing, to step down and resign as supervisor of our town of Greece. I think he's dragged the town of Greece through enough of his immorality over the years. This affair is still not settled, of course. It's an ongoing homicide that hasn't been resolved yet. There's no final resolution to it. There may not be for years. And yet he seems to have a sense of arrogance and smugness about himself, saying, just entitlement perhaps, wherever he's coming from. But many people in similar situations have done the right thing, have found the content of character to do the right thing and to resign from their position. I could give you many examples: Governor Spitzer, Congressman Massa, Congressman Lee, and so on and so forth. There's other lists of folks that have done the right thing at the state and national level or even the town level. But Supervisor Allberger, I guess, refuses to see the moral reality of the situation and continues to make the town of Greece citizens suffer through his leadership or lack of morality at the top of the tree. As the highest official in the town of Greece, and we are the largest town in Monroe County, population of about 96,000, and to have a leader of his moral caliber at the head of the administration is a very sad thing to see and to live through, I think, for all of our citizens. And I think for the good of the community, he would do the right thing and to leave us at the earliest possible opportunity. And I would encourage you folks sitting up with him to encourage him to do the right thing in the most expeditious manner.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else care to address the board?